Hi guys, welcome to the podcast, and we've got a special guest here, Stephen Aish. Now, following on a little bit from last week's show, first met Steve when I went to see Cliff and Marta in one of the seminars a couple of years ago now. Was it 2013? Yeah. As we know, and just in a completely different place to where I am now. And he actually introduced me to someone recently who I'd spent 29 years trying to find myself. So, Steve, I'll let you just introduce the guys to who you are, what you do.
Well, for those of you that knew me many years ago, I was a Taekwondo instructor, kettlebell coach, etc., Olympic lifter, destroyer of frying pans, bit of a few grip tricks, etc. For those of you that know me now, I'm a very different, peaceful animal, and the reason being is that I looked long and hard at what I was doing on a daily basis, and the fact that while on the outside all of these achievements and certificates and fancy tricks in the gym look good, I wasn't happy and I was pretty empty. And I'm just being very honest here, and I think that's the best way to deliver this information, because all of the stuff that was going out and that I was identifying with wasn't me, and actually didn't mean much at all. And I took a year out, found inner peace, haven't had a bad day since, and most of my work now is helping other people to find happiness, because the way I see it is you can teach anyone to lift a barbell, swing a kettlebell, do a squat, but there's so many people out there that are miserable, broke, angry, depressed and suffering, that you actually feel so much better helping those than you do teaching a personal trainer to squat or Mary to lose 10 kilos. So that's the current version of me. I may transition into something else in the near future, who knows. But so there's no more Johnny Concrete, there's just kind of Johnny Meditation, I guess. But in a nutshell, that's my journey for the past 30 years.
So, obviously you've come a long way. Got another chapter of your life starting in the next couple of days.
Yes,
a new baby. Congratulations.
Thankfully, the video is facing this way, and you can't see anything behind us because we got a buggy to make. We've got nappies and car seats, and son number 2 is here in 2 days, and I'm guessing by the time you upload this, it'll already be here.
You'll probably be
Daddy
Friday.
too. So No, and that's what life's all about. You know, for those of you that are kind of early to mid-20s, they're the big people that we need to hit today mentally in the fitness industry. You may think that you're never going to get married, never going to have kids. It will happen, and it's the best thing you can ever do. And you'll remember these words when you go, "Oh no, I don't want any of that," as you'll find out.
Yeah.
So you kind of slip into life rather than resist it.
So let's have a look at, like, you could use me for example if you want, like where you saw how I was a couple of years ago to where I am now. Like, where would someone start?
The key thing with this material is first and foremost with mindset. So if we kind of, let's set our base camp. Where are we going to start from, and where do we want to go? If we set this up so that instead of us having a conversation and we're telling you a load of fancy facts that you go, "Oh wow, that's interesting," that you can get on Wikipedia and Google and YouTube, it's probably never going to benefit you. If we give you techniques, knowledge and the real stuff that can change your mind, that you can practically use, then it's probably going to have more bang for the buck. So first and foremost, if we start from a position where we deliver this info in a way that it's usable and applicable so that you get it, the first and foremost, you have to be very honest with yourself. And let's now introduce our classic early 20s personal trainers, nutrition experts, the people that are out there doing the stage work and the prep and the posing and all that.
Which is exactly how I was, like posting Tupperware left, right and centre on Facebook.
I see so much potential in these people that believe they lack so much due to comparing themselves to the experts in the field, that instead of working on themselves and getting that info out there, they're angry. They're very angry. There's comparison, there's conflict, there's self-doubt, there's procrastination. And the reason being is that you're comparing yourself to people that have been doing what they're doing longer than you've been on this planet, thinking, why aren't I as good as that guy? Why aren't I earning this money? Why don't I have that many clients? Why aren't people calling me up on a weekly basis? Because I'm an expert. I'll tell you why. Because you have a certification based on information rather than knowledge. A lot of people are qualifying now in weeks.
There's been qualifications on Group 1.
Weeks. You can get qualified. There you go. You can get qualified on Group 1. Heaven help us. The thing there is, you have knowledge and a piece of paper, and unfortunately, it's worthless. You got to be in the trenches, as they say, getting your stripes, your badges, whatever you want to call it. There's no substitute for doing the work with somebody that can guide you to get the best knowledge and info and results, i.e. a mentor, a professional, someone you really aspire to and want to be like, rather than sitting at home on your laptop getting angry because you've got all these followers on Instagram and Twitter and whatever, the WhatsApp and Snapchat and all the crazy stuff that I don't go near. I got a phone, and people knock on the doorbell, all this digital stuff. I'd rather sit down and have a tea or coffee with someone and get that rapport and understand who they are. The problem with that is when you've got a 4-week course, you're clawing for experience that you're not going to get because people aren't going to employ you. You don't have the practical skills or the experience. The danger is then that you just turn to the online route, and it's bashing out. How can I be an online coach? How can I bash out 100 meal plans that are all kind of the same with a different name at the top? That isn't going to get you a reputation. And the problem there is that a lot of coaches that potentially can do massive. I mean, let's be honest. We need some kind of shift to happen in this industry, because you've got billions and billions and billions of pounds coming in the front, and you've got obesity coming out the other end. So there's a complete mismatch of resources. And I think one of the biggest reasons is that there's a very low standard of qualifications across the board. When you can certify in 4 weeks from an unrelated field, and probably having never met or coached anyone, that's a huge problem. That doesn't sit well with me.
I think as well, that's where mindset comes into it, because people will get qualified and then think they know it all. And now I've been qualified for 10 years now, nearly?
Yeah.
About 9-10 years. And I'm still learning. You're one of the guys coaching me, mentoring me.
Yeah,
I've got another coach who's helping me with my nutrition, still doing courses in functional medicine and things like that. So it's about not thinking you ever know it all.
No, and I think when you do, that's when it starts to go. That's when the problems appear, because we're always learning. As a species, you never know it all, and the key thing is, it's not just what do I need to add to my life to be a better person. Most of the time, it's what do I need to get rid of that's wrong and that's holding me back. And I think that's the key thing. In fact, what we'll do is I'm not working from a script, but I have a loose thread so that instead of us talking and you getting info, you get some knowledge. One of the questions that appeared was...
Carry on talking, I'm going to just plug the laptop in just in case.
Plug your charger in just in case. Someone actually said, how do I stop being myself? And I thought, well, that's probably the wrong question. It's how do you start being yourself? Most of the time, you don't need more information. You don't need to disappear to India to live in a cave for 6 months and find a guru. You don't need to learn a language or go to another course or workshop. You've just got to stop identifying with the things that aren't you. For example, that lifelong pursuit of a six-pack, which you believe will make you happy. Your 10,000 followers on Instagram that you believe will, lead to enlightenment in some way.
Yeah.
It is so fake and immaterial now, this industry, that a lot of people are going to hit midlife crisis 10 years earlier than they should have. Because all of the work is, look at me, I'm someone, I'm special. And what you're going to do is you're going to have a massive, massive, massive punch in the face in about 10, 15, 20 years' time. And you're going to regret not investing that time in you and being a nice person instead of a smart ass, because you're pushing away the very thing that you want, which is inner peace, financial stability, and a decent group of people around you that appreciate you for who you are rather than what you can do. And that's the biggest thing that I learned. All of my achievements now mean nothing. There's a cabinet full of trophies there. Irrelevant. Plastic and iron. It doesn't mean a thing. Because that isn't me. I worked hard for them, but they're irrelevant because they didn't make me happy. I was putting hours and hours and hours into stuff that didn't matter. So let that sink in. How much time are you putting into stuff that doesn't matter? Arguing online with people that you've never met and don't know. Constantly scrolling through and critiquing someone who's wrong. Absolute waste of time. Wondering why you've got no clients, no money, and you're up at 3 in the morning panicking, looking at your credit card.
A lot of times those people that I've seen people then disagree with and then try and prove another person wrong as well, like we say about wanting inner peace and then also to be able to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Those people aren't going to necessarily help you pay the bills because they're another trainer. So
you've got to understand that the opinions of someone else will never clear your mortgage debt.
No.
They're irrelevant. They really are. And I think if we now go deep into the world of mindset, first and foremost, there's a 3-stage approach to one of the next questions was, where do I start? How do I change? Well, the key thing is to stop living 2 inches behind your eyes and completely letting life unfold via your Pixar studio. All of your thoughts, all of the images, all of the memories that are rolling, they're not you. You are what's here now, watching this. A sentient, breathing, conscious being. All the junk that appears here, you can actively dismiss by understanding that you have a choice. You are not every thought that enters behind your eyes. You are not a victim of everything that's happened to you. Your past is your past. If you are still carrying it about today as if it's alive, then you've got problems. You've got to lay it to rest. So, mindset, first and foremost, without being judgmental or throwing anything out there that labels people, from working with tens of thousands of people in a very varied career, writing a book on mindset, developing a workshop, half of my clients are mindset clients. I see patterns and I can understand someone within a couple of minutes of talking to them by the body language, by the words, the weak language, the ifs and mights and try and but, and you just see their world get smaller because they've stopped fighting, they've stopped wanting to be someone. They've stood a very, very safe distance from the arena of life and they simply don't get involved anymore. They shy away. There's 2 words for this. You can either use a reactive or a victim. That will be where most people are at the moment with mindset. They're either a victim or a reactive mindset. I use those interchangeably. If victim offends you, I apologise, just use reactive. And the idea of that is you're almost like a pinball machine. You're the ball inside and life bangs you left, right and centre, bells, whistles, lights, you name it. Stuff happens, you get angry. Your broadband isn't working, you get angry. You're late for work, you're angry. Someone's wrong on the internet, you go crazy.
you drop a coffee pot.
You drop a coffee pot, which I did half an hour ago, and my Dyson Hoover is now the highest Hoover in the world. And as Ollie was there, I went, well, that most people would have been angry at that for 2 hours. Your reaction to events is your opportunity to maintain your inner peace. Nothing is worth stealing this moment. Don't let it. Simply don't let it steal this moment. Instead of reacting, understand that you have a choice to act. So our cornerstone, if you will, the starting point for most people that are looking for change is to accept where they are right now. And for at least 80% of people in my experience, that will be in what we call a victim or reactive mindset. You are basically in the washing machine of life on spin cycle. Stuff happens, you react. People say something, you react. This goes wrong, you go crazy. The first stage of progress is to move to what we call observer. Observer means that you step away from everything that's going on and realise that at that safe distance you now have choice. The key thing here is that you have a choice. When stuff goes wrong, you can now see 2 paths. There's the old me that would have habitually reacted, and that would have led to suffering. For the next few hours, I'd have beat my chest, Angry Bird style, had a post, got a group of sympathisers with me saying, oh yeah, I've been there myself. And it would have stolen 3 hours of your inner peace. Now that isn't a clever thing. The more advanced version, the consciously evolved version of you, would understand that from that event, as an observer, you can go, that's how I used to react and I'd suffer. So I'm now going to actively choose to do nothing in relation to what just happened. There was a cause, but there won't be an effect. It will simply remain a neutral, random event, because that is what everything is out there. The world isn't circled around you. You're not that important. It doesn't happen to you as an individual. It simply happens. It's roulette. It's a random, chaotic environment. When you identify it as being with you, you suffer. Simple as that. The train wasn't late because you were on it. The train was late. The broadband service didn't go down because you needed to send off your dissertation. It simply happened to everyone. And when you stop believing in your own self-importance and move to observer, you can see all of these things going off that could potentially disrupt you, and you just go, no, not today. You stop reacting as a victim.
This is a big thing which I've noticed. Like
huge thing.
Like
huge
road
thing.
rage as well.
Oh
like,
yeah, we'll come to that.
Yeah.
That's number 6.
We've got that on there, yeah.
So I got to do. I never work from a script, but I got a loose thread for this. The reason being is that we could sit here and talk mindset for 5 hours, and you'd go away and complain on Facebook, I guess, to someone else.
Like we had about a good 20-30 minutes just talking about what to go through before we actually press record. So, and what will happen.
So yeah, as you were saying, biting the hooks. You know, the outside world. So let's put the nails in the coffin on this one. Most people are terrified of the outside world. It's almost, I look out there and there's so many things that can go wrong. There's so many people I don't know. There's so many things to be scared of that could threaten my life. That's all rubbish. It really is. Understand one thing. What is the most important requirement for your survival? Air, the oxygen you breathe. Where does it come from? The outside world. Okay, you've got a symbiotic relationship where you are completely supported by that which you currently fear. Surrender, relax, it's got your back. So that's the outside world done with. The next stage of mindset progress, so you go from the victim mindset where the world beats you up on a daily basis to observer, where you step out the boxing ring and the punches are flying but you're not getting hit, you're not playing. Then there's a big danger. And this is how people can kind of, they'll run off and join an ashram or sit under a tree smiling for 6 years. Although you've ended the cycle of suffering through cause and effect, you're actually not doing anything with your life. You kind of, you'll be one of these guys that sits on the bench smiling and people think, there's one of them weirdos. These people are completely at peace. They've checked out the game. And I wouldn't say they've reached enlightenment by a long shot. But the important thing to understand is that is just a transition. It's a very important stage because you now stop the internal mechanisms of suffering with false identification. You broke the illusion of who you thought you were, and the fact that everything's out there to get you. The next stage is to come back in when you're ready, and that's a very important thing to remember, is to come back in as active agent or creator. Now don't use a creator if you're religious and it steps on your toes. Use active agent. So you've gone from being in the boxing ring getting hurt to stepping out and stopping beating yourself up. No one was beating you up, you were. To coming back in as an empowered, active agent that can initiate change. And people say to me, what's my purpose? I don't know what to do in my life. What's my purpose? It's quite simple. You develop yourself to a level where you are of maximum service to the health, well-being and happiness of other sentient beings. And it's that simple. That could be working in a mechanic's place, fixing their car. That could be a doctor, that could be a coach, it could be a nutritionist, you run a play group. You don't have to be a Tony Robbins or, one of these multi-million-pound speakers. If you are providing a service that is of value and helps people move from where they are, being a little bit closer to where they want to be in life, i.e. from suffering towards happiness, to purpose to inner peace, that can only be a good thing. And I think that's the main reason for my transition. You can give someone a certificate for swinging a kettlebell or lifting a barbell or adding 5 or 10 kilos to their squat. Or you can change their life. And the key thing there is when you've impacted a personal trainer or a fitness professional that can potentially ripple out to thousands of people in their career lifetime, that is why I sleep perfectly sound like a baby every single night. I haven't swindled anyone, I don't owe anyone money, I'm not churning out rubbish, hiding, and hoping no one realises it. I am genuine, authentic, delivering hopefully from the heart instead of the head. instead of being a smart ass, I've moved over to just generally caring about other people and taking the time to listen to them, to understand them, and seeing patterns, saying, right, I can actually help you because where you are now, I've been there, and I've worked with so many people that have also been there. You're doing this because, and the way you move forwards is by X, Y, and Z, and then you'll find this. And as you've noticed, and several clients have, it isn't difficult.
No.
I'm going to let you do some talking so that I don't get dramatic. Ollie, fire away. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Excellent. Are you present?
I am. I'm here. I'm now in the present moment. So,
if not, you've got a TARDIS and your name's Doctor Who. So.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're saying about with people trying to impress other people, then like you mentioned about like you sleep fine at night.
I've read
you're
in
totally
a piece
like you've got your inner peace coming.
I'll
How
read
would you
you
say to people will be able to deal with if they do have people trying to come at them and trying to put them down? For example, a few days ago, someone tried to say something on Facebook. Probably about 5 or 6 months ago, I would have then got into a massive argument with them. I didn't actually realise they were trying to take a dig at me, and this is where we go with social media. It was Twitter followers, someone trying to say that I had fake followers.
Right.
However, I know that these followers have been built up over the last few years, and you can actually look to see whether people have got real followers or fake followers. Yeah. You can check it, and again, that's where we look at why are people going to potentially buy followers to impress other people. So where I am at now, I don't even bother getting into that. That's fine. I realise they're trying to do the best for them at that current moment. So how would you suggest to people to deal with it if they do have someone come at them on social media saying you don't know nothing, that sort of thing? Someone comes at you and with fitness and you don't know what you're talking about. What would you suggest to someone?
Do you want the long answer or the short answer?
The honest answer.
Okay, we'll give you both because they're both going to be poignant. They're both going to resonate with certain people. The short answer is it doesn't matter.
No.
And the expansion of looking into that it doesn't matter is that most things actually don't matter. Here and now is where everything happens. The fact that someone out there is angry at a post or calling you out, if you spend time dealing with everyone that rattles your chain, you're going to have a full-time job because that's the nature of anti-social media at present. I call it that. Because, everyone's brave from a safe distance. You get a very different version of what would be that authentic self because most of them are anonymous and you're never going to meet them. So they will start throwing stones and getting angry. I think it's time for a quote from good old Buddha. I'm not Buddhist, but the way I see it is I use an analogy. I've got 2 degrees in science, the BSc psychology and Masters in Strength and Conditioning. I know science, I've done science, I've researched stuff, I've read all the books of mind, etc. And people say to me, "Oh, yeah, Steve, what's all this New Age stuff? You've gone all hippie and psychedelic and mindset." I said, "No, God, I've just woke up. I've stopped believing all the junk that I've been taught." But if you've ever seen the film Gravity, that big spaceship is science, and I've got a very loose but long cord attached to it, so I still know where the ship's science resides. But I'm out there exploring and I'm having fun. I am turning over rocks and stones and looking behind things, simply trying to understand more about this, more about why people suffer, because you won't find that in the science books. You're dealing with mind, consciousness, thoughts, habits, beliefs, awareness. You can't quantify, grab those, stick them in a lab, put them under a microscope. So in a way, I'm being a little bit brave and saying goodbye to the spaceship science and venturing out there and exploring. And the key thing with your question is going to the Buddha quote. He said he was giving a speech and one of the villagers ran up to him and he said, "All this stuff you're teaching is rubbish. It's corrupting the kids. You don't know anything." And the Buddha smiled at him and he said, "What do you mean?" He said, "All this stuff you're teaching is rubbish." He said, "Stop coming around here and giving people bad information." And the Buddha looked at him and he said to him, "If you give me a present and I refuse it, who does the present belong to?" He said, well, it's me, it's mine. He says, and it's the same with your anger, because I'm not accepting your anger, so you can keep it. And I think that's the key message, that if someone's angry, it doesn't mean that it's because you're wrong or that you've done something bad. You are simply a target because they've got a rock to throw. They don't want to hit you, they want to get rid of the rock. And that's something very important to understand. You are not a victim to their situation, they are the victim. And the key thing there is that if all you do is react to the angry people, you're never going to have any time to develop yourself. You'll be, this guy's called him out on Twitter and this guy said your Facebook post is rubbish, and you've got a full-time job. You really have to step back from that, and in the grand scheme of things, understand that a lot of people are so unhappy. They only get a sense of fulfillment by trying to pull others down. If you step into that arena, you're going to be beating them up, you're going to be beating yourself up, and you're going to be wasting most of your time. You observe them from a safe distance. The victim mindset would be beat the chest, bang the ego, I've got bigger biceps than you, I'm going to smash you. Theoretically, because you'll never meet, you'll just type a bit of text and hope that they can't come back with something. The observer, who's a bit more evolved, will go, I'm not going to play. I'm simply not going to allow myself to go in there and defend something that doesn't need defending. And it's also very important, just finishing on this topic, it's important to understand that people don't criticise you because you're wrong and they're right. They may even not believe what they've just posted. They just want something to alleviate the vacuum that has been their life for many, many years. They simply want some interaction. Even if it's pain and suffering, they want that instead of nothing. And it's important to understand what the motivation is of a lot of this kind of online attack. And don't get involved.
Yeah. So we're talking about the motivation side of things again now.
Motivation, number 4. We're going all over the place.
Yeah, we have to tick them off. So it is what it is. But with the motivation, in the fitness industry, I've done a podcast on stress and causing our own stress. We stress for the sake of stress, and just to go on Facebook to tell someone that we're stressing about it, to then stress about the notifications we get. But as I say, we do cause our own stress, and I've been a big one for it in the fitness industry, having been in very good physical shape, but then not necessarily the best health shape. Like when we see men's fitness cover models and being shredded, for what someone would perceive, but then is it the most healthy?
Often not.
No.
I've already got the valve's just kind of tipped and ready to
go for it.
The key thing there is that there is such a misconception over what health is.
Yeah.
People see the guy on the glossy mag with a six-pack, the light at the right angle so that the shadow brings out the abs, who's just
maybe
been painted with creosote, breathing in, hasn't dehydrated, just done 1,000 press-ups so that all the veins are pumped out. They look like that about 4 days a year for photo shoots. And on the record, off the record, I don't care. I've got nothing to prove. They are not healthy by a long shot. A lot of those are so damaged under the surface, metabolically, psychologically, that narcissism, that everything I put out there is for you to look at me and click a like on my picture. That's who I am.
If you look at when I done my first show in 2008, I lost 3 stone in 12, 14 weeks.
You couldn't do that if you had diarrhea, probably, or
a
serious disease.
Then afterwards, I took about 5-6 months to I put on about 4 stone, and I took about 5-6 months to actually feel a little bit healthy again. And now, personally, I feel healthier than I did at that point when I was on stage. But in the fitness industry, being perceived as you should have a 6-pack all year round, it puts a lot of pressure on the professional.
It can do. I think the key thing there is be brave enough to step out of the big top and leave the circus.
Yeah.
You've got to understand, a lot of the professionals I've talked to, you understand one thing. All of these coaches that you perceive as being the best that you want to emulate, which is why people are currently angry because they're not as good as them, are they online arguing? No, never. You get a couple that kind of sneak in and throw a stone and run away. They'll call someone out in quite a professional, scientific, pseudoscience way. So you can't really knock them for that. But The people doing fisticuffs online are never your international presenters and your researchers and your top level gurus, shall we say. They're busy producing information, changing lives and coaching excellence. If you have time to be in that big top with the circus and the clown, throwing your pies, is there not a better use of your time so that in 6 months you've developed a real sense of self-worth, you've improved your confidence, you've developed content, you've designed a webinar, you've wrote a Kindle book, or people have tons of info based on the experience. I mean, how old are you now? 29. So you
forget earlier.
Could you probably not produce, if I had a shotgun to your head, could be arranged, but I don't think. And I said, right, Ollie, I want you to do a DVD, write a book, and design me a workshop by the end of this year, otherwise you're getting both barrels. Would you be able to do it?
Easily.
You'd start in the next 10 seconds, and you would relentlessly. You have to be able to develop this kind of urgency to move from a life that will constantly be normal, boring, same, to say I'm going to put myself out for a year or 6 months or 18 months and get all my stuff done so that you elevate your finances, your self-worth, your confidence, when you don't have to worry about your bills and your credit cards and, I need another 2 clients to break even this month. When you live beyond that, you'll find that because you're not angry in general, things start to happen. Clients will appear. Opportunities will appear. The phone will go. You get an email that, as I did, I was flown out to Greece and Cyprus several times in the last couple of years to coach, at the Olympic Village. People find you when you are not angry and resisting opportunity. Because if you are angry, and it's usually with money, success, or other people, you're actually pushing away what you're focusing on rather than drawing it in.
I suppose this is as well, if you look at, as you say, like, use me as an example because it's just easiest because I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
When I first met you.
Are you sure you're here?
I'm here.
You could be thinking, how far are we in? Because I can't see the timer.
I can't see it either. I'm going back to Specsavers on Friday. So,
if you're in this moment, then all's good.
We'll talk about the moment and how to look at finding it. But I've actually forgot what I was going to be saying now.
Which is no problem.
It's to do with in the industry and how people think they're doing the right thing by being completely in people's faces, but they're actually scaring their clients off.
Yes.
How they make it look so boring. I'm eating chicken and broccoli 10 times a day out of these Tupperware. Hang on, let me just take a shot of that and put it on Instagram to show everyone. I've just done this really hard workout. I've just beasted someone through legs. So they can't walk.
There's my client on the floor. I'm a great trainer.
So now you've scared everyone off. Now, since I personally stopped being completely in people's faces with advertising, and people realise that I'm a human being, I'm real, I'm honest, I get more clients from referrals.
You would.
Which I know that you get clients from referrals as well.
All the time.
Because people appreciate your service. Mm-hmm. So
people know you're not nuts.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. If you're out there banging your chest, thrashing your clients, aggressively pushing, they're thinking, do I want this nutcase in my life?
Yeah.
People know that I have got a very balanced environment here. My home, if you will. Home from home. I am almost relentless with who I let into this environment. I can fix most people. I've turned people away simply because there's too much negativity for me to deal with. It drains the life out of you. I know my limits and I'm very aware of them. And the thing there is you've got to look at where does my time go and is it being invested? Are you just unconsciously taking pictures of everything, producing rubbish info, recycled junk because you're scared, angry and broke? Because if you give that out, even if you don't see it as being packaged in that box, other people will read the signals and see it very clearly. And if they see you as desperate, they're not going to come near you. And that's the key thing. So going back to what was the little nudge that started this? You mentioned about obviously we're both kind of pretty known in the industry, but there's a bigger picture than that because the world isn't just kind of reps courses and fitness and nutrition and whatnot. I think there's always a danger of specifically targeting mindset to fitness, where the bigger picture is the mindset is mindset. And the great thing with mindset is that we've all turned up with the same package. We've all got a mind. The only difference is that we're built on a different system of memories, perceptions, beliefs, habits, ways of, we will see very different things. If you went to an opera and didn't like it, and I went to it and did, we're going to have a different conversation.
Yeah.
The event didn't change, our representation of it did. So it's never the event, it's how you perceive it and how it kind of, it resonates with you in a way.
I think being in the moment, we mentioned about it.
Being in the moment, yeah. The key thing there is that there is actually nowhere else for you to go.
No.
If you're not in the moment, you're basically committing mental suicide, because the physical body is always time bound in the present. And while the mind is present as well, that kind of, think of it as your vehicle and your heads up display, your operating system, hard drive, whatever it is. They're always in the now, but your thought has the ability to go all over the place. And the biggest problem there is that if your thought isn't in the present moment, you're probably going to be suffering. If you aren't present, your mind is either trying to resolve the past, which can never happen because it's a graveyard of memories. You've got to understand that. You will never watch a movie that has a different ending. It's finite. It's been done. Well, let me watch that again and I hope the baddies win. John Wayne's always going to come out tops. I'm going back far too far. Julie days to get off your milk and drink your horse kind of guy. But you'll never get a different ending with a movie. So really, you've got to start to own your life, and that's the big lesson here. You can't sit passively reacting to what happens, getting angry at your thoughts and hoping someone will deliver stuff to you, i.e. clients or money or what have you. You've got to own your life. If you, if you're not willing to stop the thoughts that sabotage your existence, you are going to remain you forever. And if you at the moment is a little bit depressed and angry, don't have enough clients or what have you, a little bit of financial instability, that isn't going to change until you change. And it's that simple, and you've got to understand that. The reason being is that by constantly trying to change the past, you get angry. You will never change the past. You accept it, you forgive people that have angered you because you don't want to suffer, not because they're right, because you don't want to suffer. Be grateful for the fact. Okay, you're probably watching this on a device. You've got a smartphone, a tablet, a laptop, what have you. So you're better off than 80% of planet Earth at the moment that are living in kind of mud huts. And, I've been to Thailand. You've got people on the road living under a bit of corrugated iron. You're probably in your front room or your office with your aircon on. Do you have aircon in 30 degrees? You don't need aircon in the UK, do you really? So
over fan.
You've got you've got a fridge freezer full of food. You've got stuff to worry about. That's the problem. You've got bills to pay, cars to maintain, a roof over your head. Stuff in storage. Most of you have abundance and don't realise it. The problem is believing that you don't have enough. You have too much. That is the problem. So many things consciously have your attention that you've forgot who you are. You've identified with all this junk. The car, the house, the business, the clients, the booking a holiday, there's got to go do the meal plan, I've got a competition. Understand one thing, we are all the same, extremely fragile. A virus can kill you tomorrow, okay? Extremely fragile. No matter how, you could be a 20-stone wrestler, you get a virus, you're gone. Car crash, you're gone. Serious disease, game over. We are very fragile. And I think that a lot of people fail to realise that and almost want to cheat death. That's why they're angry and unhappy, because they haven't resolved the fact that one day you're not going to wake up. Death isn't a bad thing. It's simply the end of a chapter of you currently the energy system that perpetuates this body and plods it around doing its work. And you'll move on and be something else.
Is that good Alan Watts video?
Good Alan Watts video. Yeah, do you know what, guys, immerse yourself in positivity. If all you know is, posts of the gurus, a little bit of Facebook, social media, and then you watch a couple of, movies, immerse yourself in some real quality learning. And if you want, put a few names in under the video. Les Brown, Alan Watts, Ramana Maharshi, Wayne Dyer, You know, people say like Eckhart Tolle and Tony Robbins, and they go, "Oh, these guys are rubbish." You know, you can't be worth millions and millions and millions doing bad stuff. You know, the key thing is, why are you angry at these people? Probably because they're successful and you're not. You know, I haven't heard a bad word said against Les Brown. The reason being is that he's been broke, he's been homeless, and he's now worth 60 million. And all he does is, with a V12 engine, empower people to change their lives and realise their greatness. And you're no different. Everyone has potential. The fact that you are still here means that you've got work to do. So get off of Facebook and complaining and being angry. Develop yourself and help others. And if you're not sure what to do, develop yourself and help other people. And if you still don't get it, you develop yourself and you help other people. And that is your purpose. Nothing more than that. Get busy investing in you. Turn off all of the white noise that is currently consuming your time and making you angry. And develop your gifts and talents.
I suppose that as well, like when people say about helping other people, it's not just the fitness industry. But
Life
we looked
in general,
at things
yeah.
like my stepdad, he's a decorator. My mum, she works say receptionist at the hospital. It's a little bit more in depth than that, but she's booking people in to help with their lives.
Part of the system that helps people.
Yeah.
You know.
So everyone will have a role of helping another person.
You don't have to be driving the train. You can be a passenger or a cog, or you know, you're part of a system that's bigger than you and that helps people. And on the global scale, when all boundaries and perceived divisions disappear and all conflict has gone, we're all the same, regardless of those mythical kind of boundaries of race, religion, nationality, etc. We're all the same. You know, it might be a different colour, different height, have a different belief system, but we want food, love, a sense of purpose and peace. That's the bottom line. And if you don't have that, you will spend a lifetime being angry, thinking that getting the next thing is going to achieve it. And that brings me on to the next question. Where do I start? The key thing is that you don't get stuff, you get rid of stuff. The myth is going out there and searching. You just got to get rid of your beliefs, illusions, attachments, desires, labels, etc. Everything that you identify with that isn't you. Get rid of it and realise that underneath all of that is little old me, still ticking over quite nicely in this moment, peaceful, with potential, complete and enough. You're enough now. Nothing that you will add will ever, if you go through life with a mindset that something's lacking, it will always be lacking. Nothing you add to you will ever make you complete. You've just got to get rid of the belief that you're not enough. And the only reason you have that is because the programming you've had from childhood onwards, usually by about 6, most of who you are is already formed. The people of authority or your parents, teachers that have, you know, finger pointing you, called out in assembly. For example, public speaking. Most people, that's the biggest fear, public speaking. Because let's say you're at the back talking to your mate, the teacher's giving Ollie, stand up. All of a sudden you are in freeze mode. Everyone in the assembly is looking at you and you're panic. That sticks with you. And when you walk out on a stage to talk to a group of people, bang, you haven't overridden that program that happened many years ago and you still carry it because we are our memory banks. You know, what you bring to the table is a host of experiences, memories, and they kind of give you the lenses you look through in terms of your perception, how you see the world, whether it's abundance or a threatening place. Most of the stuff that we're holding as our operating system, as it were, which is a pretty good analogy for mindset, is outdated and needs to change. Next.
Where are we up to on the list?
I'll tell you, let me go through it. So we've done that one. We're
about 45 minutes in right now.
45 minutes in. Okay, how long do you want to roll it? Are we really 45 minutes in?
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun. Eh?
Exactly. So 45 minutes in the present moment.
I'll tell you what.
So
I've got a good friend called Radley. My little Guinness leprechaun. No, he's a fantastic bloke. He actually asked me, he says, what do you do if you fall off the wagon? Which is a fantastic question.
Yeah.
And I can tie this in with another 3 questions I've had from different people about, how do I do it? Where do I start? What does progress look like? I'm finding it difficult. They're in here, thinking about here, not realising that life is out there happening and they're missing out on it. So, covering Radley's question and a couple of others. Understand that the journey of mindset could take you years. But in years, those years are passing. You're thinking a degree, it might take you 4 years. That's a long time. In 4 years' time, you got your certificate done. Same with mindset. Let's say, arbitrary figure, it takes you 2 years to move from where you are now to a place where you no longer react to events in an angry way. The thoughts that happen, you are able to dismiss because you don't identify with them. They're not you. They're just random stuff coming in and they disappear. The beliefs that you have managed to override and change so that all that you have is positivity rather than an inner critic that beats down every idea that you have that could move you forwards. Now, let me use the example of, obviously, go back to health and fitness. Let's say that we use two different athletes. One of them's got a 100 kilo deadlift and wants to get 250. He's just started and he wants to be a powerlifter. And another one can run 5k and they want to do a London Marathon, 26 miles. Is that going to happen in a couple of months? No. Both of them are looking at realistically, you can't say, it's a proverbial piece of string. It could be that those goals take years. However, falling off the wagon, the important thing to realise is that every single step is a step closer to that goal and has value. And you've got to pat yourself on the back for that. And the key thing with goals is there's something called psychological distance. If the distance from me now is astronomical compared to what I want to be, I will constantly see that distance as such a threat that I will not take action now because I know that goal is almost never going to happen. Rather than, I've got a 100 kilo deadlift and it wants to be 250. Massive, could take years. However, I'm going to aim for 105. I mean, 101's in the bag. 101's a pat on the back. It's a step. And you're going to have, 150 steps.
So we're looking at breaking those down.
It could be, so 1 a week, 3 years. 3 years to get you 250. The key thing there is that when you can micromanage it and actually realise that it's the journey rather than the destination. The 250 is irrelevant. The 250 is in the future. Forget about it, because if you are mentally hooked on it, it is such a big number to deal with that you're nowhere near at the moment. All you're going to do is sacrifice the present, so you go back to not being present and living in fear. 105 is your target, which could realistically happen in the first month. Turning a 5k run into a 5.5k, or beating your time by doing 6k is your next month's planning. And the key thing with mindset is to understand that it's a process. It isn't a switch. You don't just decide to be happy. If you spent 2 years developing a physique, planning your meals, going to the gym, designing your programs, and you've lost weight, you've gained weight, you've become faster, you've lifted bigger, yet you've tried meditation twice and it didn't work, that's the problem. People have put hours and hours and hours into the physical self and achieved results. And they've done nothing on their mind, wondering why they suffer and they're angry. It's the same thing.
People could actually relate this to their clients as well.
100%.
Like, they didn't get obese overnight. They didn't really get unhealthy overnight. So you tell a client it's going to take you a lot longer to then lose that weight.
Yeah.
And then they see things like, I'm going to lose 2 stone in 2 weeks. And then they get demotivated. So it's the same sort of thing to a degree.
Absolutely, and it's very important to understand that the person that caused the problem is a different level of consciousness that's going to fix it. It's going to be a very different person that steps up and fixes that problem of obesity rather than the person that just let life slip. Unless it's medical, a lot of it is just due to kind of checking out the game and not being aware of what you're doing. It's like, doesn't matter, I want to eat rubbish, I want to go to the gym, a little bit of feeling sorry for myself, and it's a downward spiral that perpetuates unless you take action to break that habitual me. Yeah. When the trousers get tight, you've got 2 options. You buy a bigger pair, or you fix it and go to the gym and look at your eating habits. That consciousness is very different in terms of choice. One of them's actively going to stand against it and change it. The other one's going to go, and that isn't the discipline that's going to fix your life. That is me going, It's a model by Martin Seligman called Learned Helplessness, where you've tried everything so much it doesn't work, so you give up. You basically stop trying. It's like, well, yeah, I've done the pills and the potions, and I've been to the exercise class, and I've had a trainer and a nutrition guy. And they weren't the problem. You were the problem. Simple as that. You've got to own it. No one is going to lose weight for you. No one's going to go to the gym for you. No one's going to eat your food and give you the calorie benefits. If you don't own your life, change it. Start taking responsibility for you. Don't just become a statistic thinking that, well, if it gets really bad, then there's a surgery option. You know, don't use the health service as a safety net so that you can really balls up. Take ownership of your life. You know, this vehicle is pretty important. It's the only one you got for doing your work.
Cool. That's quite a good place. I mean, we're about 50 minutes in. We can always do another show. If people have questions, we can have a look at doing another show in a month or two.
Not a problem at all.
Potentially have one looked at. We can look at getting some stuff in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk mindset all day long. It's but the key thing is that don't obsess with mindset. You know, it isn't a holy grail. It's doing the work. It's someone said to me, "Mind, you know, how do I get more of this?" Mindset's quite simple. It's common sense that's not taught, which is why hardly anybody knows they have the option of changing their mind. If you look it up in the go to the dictionary and type in mindset. I did. I pulled up Severn, Oxford, and Cambridge, and whatnot. And almost all of them said to me, it's a fixed set of beliefs and ways that you interact with people and your kind of map of the world. And it's anything but. And the key thing there is that if by default you believe you can't do anything about it, you're never going to put anything in. Yet it is completely subject to change because of, we don't want to go into the hard science of it, epigenetics, the neuroplasticity. Placebo, nocebo, the fact that there's a 5-year study now on meditation. So rather than qualitative, I feel great, what's actually happening on an MRI and some, whatever, ECG, whatever, with the actual lobes and certain regions of the brain that completely switch off. So your kind of snipers and security guards and radar that are constantly looking for a threat go, chill out, it's okay. And all that noise stops and you actually find inner peace because you stop looking for problems. The key thing with mindset is we are very intelligent beings. If you believe there's a problem, you'll keep looking for it until you find one. This moment is all you have. The only way you'll suffer is if your thoughts are not here now. And you'll suffer if you're physically being tortured or in pain. You're sitting there with a broken leg or a pin and morphine. You're probably going to be a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah. But at the moment, no one's torturing you. It's probably a reasonably comfy sofa. It should be.
Yep. The strength sofa's got to be comfy.
The strength sofa, yeah. There are no problems with this moment. And the only way you'll ever find a problem with this moment is to believe one exists and go chasing it. So get a security guard in your mind that when this junk appears and challenges now, you go, not today. I'm simply not entertaining this. And as I said, we want to give you knowledge instead of info. A great way to physically chop feeling sorry for yourself. Now, I do believe, cut me down for this if you want, but I think if you've got 3 hours to feel sorry for yourself, that's a bit of a luxury.
Yeah.
Physiologically and psychologically interrupt that habitual pattern. So you're sitting here, let's say, so you're not here, and I've gone, oh, goodness me, I've got all this stuff to do, and the car's broken. It hasn't, but the car's broke down, and I've got a kid on the way, etc., etc. Wow, I feel there's a lot on. I'm feeling a bit depressed. Whoa, hold, no. Physically stand up and psychologically dismiss that thought, because if you don't, you're going to sit with it and you're going to empower it. Because what the brain fires up, you start to wire neurologically. The networks will spiral off, and you will strengthen it. You start to have an emotional reaction to what's playing in your Pixar studio. The chemistry fires up. You'll start to actually develop associations and beliefs and behaviours relative to the thoughts in your mind. And if you believe that you're not good enough, that's what will be real. It's as simple as that. So completely stand up, psychologically dismiss it, and walk away. You've got to have a mechanism to interrupt negativity. Chop it as quick as it arises.
Cool. So, just finally, I ask everyone who comes on the show, is there anyone in your network you'd recommend to come on the show in the future?
Anyone in my network to recommend? Are you purely looking at kind of health, fitness, nutrition, well-being,
people that can just
psychobabology, offer value? The thing is, everyone can offer value if they step up and realise how much worth they have. Everyone's full of creativity and greatness, and I'm a firm believer in that. Who have you had on at the moment? So give these guys a little heads up. Of
Cliff and Marta last week.
Yeah.
We've had 3 of the new body type nutrition coaches.
Right.
So Polly, Chris, and Dan.
Mm-hmm.
We've had Steve Trippy, who's one of the strongman coaches, strength and conditioning experts as well.
Yeah.
And Alex Viada. So from Complete Human Performance, complete machine, running Ironmans, doing powerlifting, doing strongman.
Yeah.
And Ben Coomber actually texted me today to say in the next couple of weeks he'll be coming on the show as well.
Oh yeah, I've got a few things planned with Mr. Coomber.
Yep. He said about that.
Watch this space.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're going to steamroll this industry and shake it up.
Definitely. So yeah, if there's anyone, it may not be anyone you
may know more people. I keep myself. People say to me, "Why aren't you advertising this?" And get out there and change lives. I say because the key thing is that I don't want a ton of crazies jumping my fence to beat my door down in a compassionate, loving kind of way. I understand that a lot of people are hurting, but unless they are willing to take the first step, drop their guard, look beyond their ego, their labels, their identification, and understand that most of their pain and suffering is self-perpetuated, and say, look, I thought I had all the answers. To the outside in, I look like I've done it, but inside I'm hurting. Can you help? Yes, absolutely. I'll change your life. But you've got to be able to take that initial few steps and meet me halfway. And a lot of people are, you will not get any. The people listening to this now are thinking, listen to this, Wally. Pseudoscience babble. You're actually the people that will benefit the most from it.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
In 20 years' time, you'll go, wow, this guy had it sussed. At the end of the day, the goal is inner peace that gives you the capacity for happiness. The goal isn't happiness. Happiness chops and changes. The goal is to find inner peace so that you have the capacity for happiness in this moment. I've done it. I've taught many people to do it. That is the purpose of life, because then you are in a position to offer people your time, to listen authentically, to genuinely care about another sentient being, rather than answer to be smart and think, well, this guy's clever, I've got a better bench press. It's not about competition. No one really cares about that.
There was one guy who's a good mate of mine, and he said to me, he's like, you've got a lot more relaxed recently, and you're a lot more chilled out. And it's like, what have you been doing? And I just went and told him about some of the things I've been doing, and said about meditation. He's like, you're not into all that Buddha stuff now and everything,
exactly.
And I'm like, what? And then the conversation just went on a little bit, and he was like, I earned £55,000 last year. I was like, yeah, but are you happy? And then he was like,
that's the key thing.
No, I'm not. So it wasn't just about the number on his payslip. He was not happy about it.
The amount of millionaires that are miserable, angry, and worried that every day could be the day they lose it all.
Yeah.
How is that living?
Exactly.
To me, life is quite simple. Give back more than you've taken to get to where you are. And if you're not giving back and you're holding, see, it's like holding your breath. Hold your breath for 3 minutes.
It's not going to happen right now.
So if you're holding everything and you're not giving out, you're going to suffer,
Yeah.
You're here for a finite period. Enjoy it. And the only way you'll enjoy it is to understand that this has been your biggest enemy up to this present moment. Your mind is a powerful tool. It is a relentless master if it's enslaved you. And the way that you you go through the various stages of fixing that is meditate, be present, bring mindfulness. We've got a couple of minutes, okay? I just want to talk about mindfulness. The best way to introduce being present, even now you could be thinking, well, yeah, I've got a phone call to make, so I hope this guy speeds up. You're not here, you're worrying about other stuff. Bring mindfulness and awareness to tasks which are so automatic that you don't need any conscious awareness to do them. For example, what am I going to say? Making a tea or coffee. Okay. When you get the cup out of the cupboard, are you making the tea? Ollie?
No.
No. You're getting the cup out of the cupboard. When you fill the kettle, are you making the tea?
You're filling the kettle.
You're filling the kettle. The key thing here is that as soon as I grab that cup and believe that I'm making tea, my mind is already in the future and I'm not home. Bring mindfulness to the things that you do. Housework, dishes, making the tea, and you'll find that in this moment there's a little space where you haven't been for a long, long, long time. And that's the only space that you can ever actually be and find happiness.
Perfect note to finish on there.
We'll
So I'll put some details in the show notes of how guys can get in contact with yourself. And yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
At all. If there's any questions, ping them under the thread, I guess, when it's on.
It'll be on Facebook, it'll be on Twitter, and on YouTube as well. So
all the online thingamajigs.
Yeah, all them ones. So.
Absolute pleasure.
Cool. Thank you.
Take care, guys.